Welcome to this third session of Growth Track. In this session, we're asking the question, where do I fit? We want to help you find a way to really engage in this church, to be on the team. Now here's what we've found. If you really want to grow, if you want to grow in your relationship with God, really if you want to grow in life, there are two things that you need to do. All kinds of research actually backs this up, and we found it to be true in the church as well. The first is that you need to have meaningful relationships. You got to find them. You have to invest in them. Meaningful relationships have a huge impact on your life. And the second is that you need to invest in something that's bigger than yourself. You need to give your life to a greater purpose. And because we know this, we've decided to really emphasize those two things as a church. So there's two things I want to encourage you to put into your life to help you grow, to help you invest in this church, to really be on the team here, but actually to engage in your relationship with God. The first is simply to engage in relationships, that you would find some meaningful relationships. And so here's what we've done. We've set up several different types of community groups. And in a few minutes, you'll have a way to look over all the different types and kind of talk about them. You'll find different groups in our church, and I want to encourage you to do this. It's one thing to show up on Sunday morning and gather together for worship, and that's important and it makes a big impact on our lives. But I want you to go the extra step. Now, I hear all kind of reservations about this from time to time. People, first off, just say, I don't have any time for this. I mean, how could I put one more thing into my life? And yet we long for something like this. We long for that meaningful connection. So I want to encourage you to try it out. Because I know that it won't happen if you don't actually put that time into your life to look at your calendar and carve it out and say, we're going to make this a priority at this time in our life because I want to grow. And so I'm asking you to be intentional about this. Other times we say, I just don't really know anybody. And I get that. I understand. I'm asking you to take the first step, to take that little bit of risk because it is worth it. Because this will have such an impact on your life. I'm asking you to risk jumping in on some relationships, to invest in a community group, a little group of people where you can grow in your relationship with each other and you can grow in your relationship with God. Sometimes you say, well, what if they don't like me? I'm just not sure about this. A group can be awkward, and it can be, but it's worth trying. It's worth the risk. It's worth stepping out there. Let us live up to the motto as a church when we say everybody's welcome. And if we're all living towards that, we're all grabbing each other and holding each other up, we're going to grow in our relationship with God. So that's the first piece. I want to encourage you to invest in meaningful relationships in this church. Make it a priority. Put it in your schedule. Be part of a community group. Give it a try and see if God doesn't use this to change your life. Now here's the second thing we want you to do. I want you to find a way to invest in serving in this congregation. That you would find your place to contribute. That's always been kind of part of who we are as a church. We used to joke because we started off in a movie theater and we had to haul everything in, and we're a portable church. We moved everything in on Sunday morning and back out. And we used to joke, if you visit one Sunday and come back the next, you'll have a job. We'll have you pull in the trailer or setting up the sound system or something by week number 2. Now, we have the luxury of not doing all of those things every week, but that's in our DNA. And what we found is it actually makes a difference. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If you find a team to serve on, that's a great place to connect with some meaningful relationships. So you'll develop some relationships there, but there's something more than just the relationships. When you roll up your sleeves and you jump on the team, you're going to find that this is life-giving. Really, to serve and put in this time together to make a difference is life-giving. Because this church, I mean, we're doing something here. God's called us to make an impact on lives and an impact on this community. And it's happening. We see lives changed every day. We see families turned around. We see people turning their hearts to God. We see life change. And it's really incredible. And you get to be a part of it. In fact, that's your call. And if you really want to grow in your relationship with God and you want to really connect in this church and find a home here, you got to find a way to serve. So I'm inviting you to move beyond sort of the living room, where you first come in and you enter in as a guest. And if you're a guest in my house, you get to the living room. And it's nice in there. It's good. But when you really know your home is when you're invited on back into the kitchen. And in the kitchen, you're given the cutting board and an apron, and you're told, time to serve. And that's when you know you're home. And that's when you know you're home at LiveOak, when you jump on a team to serve. The impact's incredible, actually. You know that we have a team that just comes out and greets people in the morning. They stand out front, they smile big, they tell you good morning, they get there early and make coffee and just create a welcoming space. And you'd think that's a pretty basic job. But did you know that people make their decision whether they're going to come back to a church or not in the first 5 minutes of their visit? You know what that means? That means that welcome team is a whole lot more important than whatever preacher happens to get up there that Sunday. This is an impactful job, and it sets the tone for who we are as a church and how people will experience our congregation. And then the opportunity to be in those classrooms with some of these kids. I mean, to help our kids grow up in the faith. And I've seen so many of you go back in there, get down on the floor with them, interact with our kids, play with them, and to show them that an adult who loves God also loves them. Did you know how an impact that makes on our children? My children are growing up in our church, and they look to you as someone that points them towards God. You're helping to grow them in the faith. Man, we just have incredible teams here. And there's so many and so many different places that you can serve and you can jump in. And I just want you to do it. Now, I know that's not easy and you have to fit that into your schedule too. But I'm telling you, if you jump in with this purpose that's bigger than yourself, it's bigger than me, it's what God's called us to do into this community. And if you jump in with this purpose, it'll be life-giving for you. It'll make an impact on your life. We'll make an impact for God together. And that's how we'll grow our church together, and we'll grow our faith in God. Well, my hope over the next few weeks is that you find a way to really jump in and engage with LiveOak Church. Now, some of you have been here a long time and some of you are brand new, but all of us can find these really simple ways, just 2 simple ways to make an investment in the church. And as we do it, we're going to live out our mission together. God has called us to be a church where everybody's welcome, where nobody's perfect, and where anything is possible.